Many thanks to DayZ Podcast, Pandemonium, Fatal Attraction of the Servers, Atlas, MGO Vanilla Mouse, One Original DayZ Servers, Sheriff Line, Sauerkraut, Sgt. Pepper's DayZ Invasion Server, PGZ Servers, and Dust Vanilla Servers for making this video possible. DayZ 1.23 has changed a lot more than what appears on the surface, so to get everybody up to speed with how 1.23 has actually changed DayZ and what could be coming in the future, here are the 15 must-know changes in this patch. Splitting all these 15 into these 4 categories again, let's start like usual with the juicy new stuff. The new DMR was in the DayZ mod and was considered one of the best weapons back then, and now is considered one of the best weapons in DayZ 2. This weapon is going to pump out a ridiculous amount of damage while maintaining high accuracy with every shot, allowing a good range of optics and a 10 or 20 round magazine. This is like an SVD that's slightly less powerful but also on steroids. The DMR is truly a weapon to be feared, and one that I'm sure many people will favourite and be hunting down this patch, spawning in military convoys and at helicrash sites too, with the mag spawning in tier 2 plus military areas. 4 new clothing items have been added in several different colour variants, such as a winter coif, which works very well with all the masks in the game and is extremely warm to wear, coming in the harder to find skull pattern variant too. The OKZK cap only combines with this surgical mask or eyewear, so it doesn't work with any other mask, but is also extremely warm like the winter coif and apparently provides some biological and chemical protection too. I'm not sure exactly what that means though. The Patoshka hat, while looking like an upside down sack of potatoes, is very warm like the other 3 hats in this patch, allowing all of the masks to be attached and increases your drip stat by 200. Finally, for new clothing, the padded gloves are the second most durable gloves in DayZ, yet they spawn in residential areas, so they're pretty damn good, with the skull variant spawning in hunting locations instead, reminding me a lot of the Division for some reason. The field shovel is finally back in DayZ, working exactly like the regular shovel does, but spawns only in military areas instead. The biggest difference between these shovels, other than the regular one being much easier to find and both having different animations, is how the regular is a tier 3 blunt melee weapon and the field shovel is a tier 3 sharp melee weapon. This makes their damage stats look like this, with the heavy attack being the second number, making the regular much better for KOing players, with the field shovel better for killing infected. So for practicality, the field shovel is better, but for melee damage, I would say that the regular is better. Red Firetrack wrecks have been added throughout China, spawning decent loot based on the building that's nearby and the tier it's in too, with the most likely building it's going to be next to being a fire station. For example, the wrecks in Electro spawn fire and medical gear because it's a tier 1 area, whereas in Zelenogorsk or the Airfield, the redesigned Airfield, they're going to spawn military gear too. These wrecks spawn V3S vehicle parts like the wheels for example, but beware that the cabin is very easy to shoot through with most weapons. Supply crates or supply drops are now a thing in DayZ, spawning in fixed locations and spawning in and out of existence every 30 minutes if nobody is within 1,000 meters of the supply crate. The 3 different types are ration, medical and military crate, spawning a lot of incredible gear, so the military gear that spawns here is well worth looting, but only currently spawning in the center of the reworked airfield, so the only place that supply crates can be found is the middle of the reworked airfield, so it's difficult to get here and not be spotted by other players while doing so. You can now push vehicles from the back or the front, allowing us to unstuck our vehicles easier, with how far you can push them being based on the weight of the vehicle too, so it's going to be much more difficult for V3S for example to get that unstuck. You can still unstuck these vehicles with the previous methods that I showed in this video, but I've yet to test this fully to see which is better, so I have a video in the works to see how this pushing mechanic actually works. The biggest change you'll notice this patch is obviously going to be the skybox, looking much more beautiful in this patch and opening up more options for modders to change the sky and the cloud textures, the night sky textures too, the brightness of stars, stuff like that. The biggest mechanic change here is how the clouds go around the player instead, so they go around in a circle around the outside of the map instead of going west to east like they did last patch, and how it also gets darker the cloudier it gets now. You are no longer allowed to build inside of Livonia's bunker, but you can build close to the back entrance to the Livonian bunker here, and you can build inside of any other bunker in the game. Server owners have the option to toggle building inside the Livonian bunker in the server files, so some servers may allow you to build inside the bunker, but I'm guessing that most servers won't. The truck and Humvee wheels will now give you 20% extra grip on and off-road in this patch, and the Humvee has slightly less chance to roll over during sharp turns. However, the V3S has 20% more chance to roll during its turns and will respond to turning 2.5 times slower this patch, giving it a much more weighty feel to it with its simulated inertia, so this is going to feel a lot slower to turn, and also they've nerfed the turbo boost of the V3S by 8%. On the flip side though, the V3S will now respond 33% faster to acceleration commands by the player, so when you push the button it's going to respond 33% faster, and it changes gears nearly 20% faster now, so it's going to accelerate certainly much faster, while also redlining at 2400 RPM instead of 2300. In addition, all vehicles have much better grip and torque off-road due to grass texture grip changes, allowing all vehicles to make it up most of the hills in DayZ now, with only the sharpest of hills being undefeatable, a night and day difference compared to last patch. This is so much better. To balance this change though, driving a vehicle off-road will slow your vehicle down 2.5 times more than last patch, so travelling on the road will be faster. In fact, the Humvee caps out at 63 on flat grass now here at Balota. You can feel the difference here. It was 90 in the last patch it could get up to, and it was still accelerating at 90 kilometers per hour. But driving off-road is 66% quieter compared to last patch. There is a new sound for setting up traps in DayZ, much like how the bear trap sound works, playing as you set up and dismantle traps, whereas in the last patch they were completely silent, so now people will be able to hear you setting up traps. The snare trap also has a new sound, and instead of 15 to 25 minutes to catch prey, it's now 1 to 15 minutes instead, so this could be a fantastic way to get some food fast. They also changed how far away you need to be to catch a rabbit or a chicken using the snare trap. It was 30 meters, but now it's 10 meters away from the trap, so you can be stood 10 meters away and you'll see a chicken being caught right in front of you. The flashbang was bugged in the last patch and now has a medium distance and long distance sound attached to it, but this sound only travels up to 150 meters at a maximum, which is where the gas canister sits now too. The gas canister was 750 meters, how far away it could be heard in the last patch, but now the sound is different, and like I said, travels only 150 meters now instead. The landmine in the last patch could be heard up to around 1000 meters, but now it's 2000 meters instead, so it's been doubled, which is how far away the plastic explosive can be heard too, but the plastic explosive is now louder in this patch. Even though it caps out at 2000 meters, it's somehow louder. Northwest Airfield has had a significant makeover in this patch, which I go into extreme detail on in this video here. I cannot do it in this video because there's just so much to go over, but since that video a plane has been added into this hangar, and the redesigned camo building, the one with the bunker, now has slightly different cosmetic changes too. The reskin fire station at the airfield is just that, a reskin to be green instead of red like the others, so this is the only green fire station on Chernarus. All the other ones are red and look exactly the same, with Infected not bugging out on any of the fire stations now, so that means that Infected can go up these stairs, and the doors that can be open and closed on the front now open and close much faster. Castle interiors are now made of wood instead of stone, which cannot be shot through, so these are more bulletproof than the previous version, the stone version, so you'll need to shoot between the gaps in the wood to kill players here. And finally, for map changes, all train tracks now have overhead power lines. I couldn't find any tracks on Chernarus that didn't have these power lines above them. There is a bug that has plagued DayZ for the longest of time with wolf howls, and how sometimes they don't play the sound to give you a warning that you have attracted wolves, making for one hell of a spooky situation when one randomly jump scares you. Now in 1.23 they should play this howling sound every single time, but let the devs know if you experience this bug still. While fixing this bug, it looks like they may have added more wolf howls to the game, and these wolf howls will happen more frequently, so if you have attracted wolves, you will certainly know about it. Slapback Sounds are a new concept for DayZ, which is basically an echo from a nearby object to simulate the reflection of the sound inside an environment. The only weapon that has a slapback sound though is the new DMR, which isn't actually a slapback sound or an echo sound. It's actually just part of the sound file that gets played every single time, so it doesn't matter which environment you're in, it's going to play this slapback sound each time. But there is new code in the game files related to echo sounds, so it's possible that they're working on sounds to echo in the environment you're in. For now, guns are around 20% louder inside building interiors to you and other nearby players, but players outside of 250 meters will not hear your gunshots from 20% further away. As for some of the smaller changes that I believe everybody should know in this patch, you can see the queue of players on the server now. You can toggle the password visibility, with the visibility of passwords being hidden by default. There are a load of new sounds for actions such as crafting, arming or disarming, dragging players from vehicles, and a new impact sound for textiles. Buckshot shells and the double shot for both the double barrel and the blaze has been fixed in this patch, so these weapons will behave like they should. The penny bun mushroom now has a baked texture rather than no texture at all. The stone oven cannot get wet or go out in the rain, so this is protected 100% from the rain. Red tracer rounds look slightly different compared to what they looked like last patch. Items become damp inside barrels that have water inside them. And finally for this patch, more code has been added for a video player for DLC content or downloadable content, looking like the video player will have a playback feature that includes buffering. Now, unless this is some sort of legacy code that slipped through, buffering means that the video will likely be stored on a different server, and then you download that video and play it in the main menu, which means that the developers want to be able to change this DLC from time to time. And why would they want to change it if they only have Livonia at the moment? It means that we're probably going to get future DLCs. For now, if you want to get fully up to date with this patch, these 3 videos are a must watch in my opinion, going over the deadly DMR, all of the airfield changes and supply crates, and what the new skybox means for the future of DayZ. In the next few videos, I'll go over the huge loot changes this patch, how the group spawn system works, and check out the pushing vehicle mechanic in more detail. Thank you very much for watching, thank you for all of the support, and enjoy the patch.